Hello, I'm Mark Fisher, baking instructor, pastry instructor here at Indian Hills Community College. This time, I'm going to do a pastry cream to fill our eclairs and cream puffs that we made in our last segment. What I have here today is just a simple pastry cream. It's kind of a rich vanilla type pudding that you can use in cream puffs and eclairs. You can use it as a base on a tart, or you can use it as different fillings in maybe a Danish roll or a puff pastry item. The ingredients I'm working with today is I got milk, which is 1 pound of milk, 2 ounces of granulated sugar, egg yolks, 1.5 ounces of egg yolks, 2 ounces of whole eggs, 1.25 ounces of cornstarch, with another 2 ounces of sugar, which is going to be blended together here. And then at the end, I'll have 1 ounce of butter and about a teaspoon of vanilla. The first thing I want to do is I want to get my eggs whisked up with my cornstarch and sugar, so that's ready to go when my milk is coming off the stove. When I whisk this in, I want to make sure I have a nice, smooth, creamy batter. Shouldn't be no lumps. You want to make sure the cornstarch is completely broken down and dissolved into your egg mixture. And the reason why I do this first is if I don't, my milk gets to a boil, then I got to stop and do this here. I'm going to lose some heat on my milk, which will slow down the cooking process of my cream. So I got my eggs, sugar and cornstarch ready to go. And I got it on a towel here, so when I'm tempering my milk into my eggs here, when I'm stirring, I'm going to be stirring and pouring at the same time. It's going to keep my bowl from spinning around the table. Otherwise, I got to chase it clear across the table here. So I guess got to hold it in one spot here, and it will take care of itself. So I got my milk going. I'll add my first quantity of sugar to it. Get that stirred in there. When the milk's heating up, it's going to dissolve your sugar. You don't have to continue to stir this. You want to keep that heat moving around in there. You can kind of stop it and then you can kind of see what your milk is doing. You can kind of tell when it's coming to a boil. This comes to a nice boil. I'll take it off the stove and then I'll pour it slowly into my eggs, and I want to do it slowly and stir because I want to temper my eggs. If I don't, you could curdle your eggs and cook them, scrambled eggs. So it's a fairly simple recipe to do. Again, it's a recipe you can find online. Just you can Google it or go in there to any of your food network or food recipe sites you like to go to. Pastry cream, vanilla pastry cream. They're all fairly similar. It consists of milk, sugar, eggs, cornstarch. Okay, we're starting to boil a little bit. Okay, got a nice little boil going. Take it off. Start to stir this. Add a little milk to it. The thickening agent in this is eggs, but the cornstarch helps it set and thickens too. So okay, now we'll return the base back to the saucepan. Turn my heat on. And this is where you want to continue to stir. It doesn't take long for it to start to thicken. If you don't do this, you will have scrambled eggs. You got to continue to stir. You just can't let it set, otherwise you could scorch the bottom of it, cause it to curdle. It won't cook evenly for you. Keeps that heat moving around nice and even. Now we're starting to thicken. I'll take it off the stove. I'll add my butter and vanilla. Get that all stirred in real good. The vanilla gives it a little flavor. The butter softens up the cream itself, so it doesn't set up to a real firm body. It has some softness to it. It adds a little more moisture to it. Okay, got it all mixed in there really good. Nice smooth cream. Now I'll take this and put it in a clean bowl. And if you're not going to use it as a filling in a pie, if you don't use it in a filling in a pie, you want to pour it right into your pre-baked pie shell. But if you're not use it just as a filling later on in like a cream puffs and eclairs, what I like to do is take a piece of saran wrap and I'll lay this clear down on top of the cream itself. I want it to touch the cream. And this helps prevent that little crust that you might, you will see it on a cream pie, but this prevents that little crust from developing on top of your cream. And then when it's cooled, you can bring it out and re-whisk it to use as your filling. And we have our pastry cream. Today I'm going to fill my cream puffs and eclairs that we've previously made with the pastry cream that I've made. After it's chilled in the cooler, I'm going to bring it out. You want to whisk it back up so it comes back to a nice, smooth, creamy stage for you. And to fill these, I'm going to use a pastry bag with just a plain round tip. It don't need to be really, very big, just enough to stick into your item. What I like to do, sometimes you can use a paring knife, make a little insertion into the eclair. And in your cream puff, you can use a wooden dowel rod or a wooden spoon, the handle part of it, just to poke a little hole in there. Fill my pastry bag. I'll make a little cup with my hand. Put my pastry bag over my little cup. Take my icing spatula. Dip it down in there and squeeze and pull it out. Stick it into the little hole you made and get in there as far as it will allow you to let it in there, and then start piping it in there. And you can feel it kind of moving across the shell as you're filling it, and it'll get a little weight to it. Then I'll fill my cream puff, same way. Fill her up. Now there's a couple different ways you can finish these tops off. One, on the cream puff, you can take some powdered sugar, and I just got a little sugar dredger here, a little shaker. You can just dust the top. Same way on your eclair. Just a little garnish to it. Another thing you do with your eclairs, you can take some chocolate ganache, heat it up to where it's just to a kind of a pourable stage. Take your eclair and dip the top into the chocolate icing and gives a nice coating on top of it. That's another way you can finish these off. Another way you could do the cream puffs, and you don't have to fill it with a pastry cream. You can use a nice whipped topping, and you can cut the top off, pipe a nice mound of whipped topping on there, put your top back on top of it, dust of a little powdered sugar, and then they're ready to be served. So that's it.